What's going on, everybody? The National starts tomorrow. Tomorrow is the National, and I will be posting videos of dealer tables, of pickups, of interactions with friends. You won't want to miss those. This is going to be amazing. Now, early, like really, really early tomorrow morning, my dad and I are going to hop on a plane in Sacramento and we're going to fly into Chicago. We will be landing right around lunchtime, Chicago time, and it's going to be a blast. We will make our way over to our hotel and then into the show. Now, the show again starts tomorrow afternoon. It's a short, just a few hours there. I am going to probably be in my most hunting mode tomorrow night as I'm kind of getting my bearings, looking for some particular items, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I would say the first day or two, what I would love is I would love to have all of my purchasing done in the first day and a half. And then that way I could just take all of Friday and hang out with friends, walk around, check other people's pickups, help be an extra set of eyes. But who knows? I mean, it's possible. I don't buy much. I'm not going to force anything just because I'm at the National. Does not mean I'm going to buy something if it's not the right card. Now, I thought I was ready for the National about a week ago. And then I said, you know what I need? I need two new shirts, two new midlife shirts from Reindeer Studios. Remember, reindeerstudios.com. My guy Scott is incredible. And look what just showed up in the mail. Would you believe it? There's one. That is the black version with the midlife logo on it. And this kind of tealish blue one. I am now officially ready. I have my uniforms. So I'll probably be wearing those around the show on Thursday and Friday. Now, if you've not bought any shirts from Scott over at Reindeer Studios, he's got the best card collecting hobby shirts there are. And he will be at the Thursday YouTube Hangout, which we'll talk about here in a second. And he will be at Trade Night, the Vintage Trade Night at the National on Saturday night. Now, let me kind of share the screen here and show you a few things first. Again, my plans, in case anybody wants to meet up and say hello, I'm going to kind of go through that and kind of give you an idea of what my targets are. So again, I will be showing up midday tomorrow, and I'll hopefully get a couple of hours into the show tomorrow night. And I will be at the show on Wednesday. Again, it's a short half day tomorrow, then all day Thursday, and then all day Friday. I then fly home on Saturday morning. So I will be there pretty much open to close, I would think, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, on Thursday night, after the show ends, the show I think closes at 6. On Thursday night is going to be the YouTube Hangout. Who can come to the YouTube Hangout? Anybody can come to the YouTube Hangout. It's just basically a place where a bunch of people who are in the YouTube community in Midlife Nation are going to go and hang out. It's put on by Mike Moynihan, baseball collector, and it will be across the street from the show at 6:15 is when it will start. There will be a sea of people. It will be largely attended, and I will absolutely be there. My dad will be there. A bunch of my buddies will be there. So that is going to be the best opportunity if you want to come by and say hello, if you want to snap a couple of pictures together or anything like that. The best chance to do that, the easiest place to know exactly where everybody's going to be is Thursday night, 6:15 at the Embassy Suites Hotel across the street from the show. Now, who else will be there? Most people will be there. Dr. Beckett will be there. A bunch of your favorite YouTube channels will be there. Tony, Southern Collector, will be there. I think my buddy Darren is actually coming in early Friday morning. So Darren won't be there, but Mike Petty will be there. Listen, you will not want to miss that event. And this would be a great opportunity to say hello. I'm going to try to bring some of my pirate cards and stuff. So if I have anything left over, don't hesitate or be shy to ask. I'd be happy to hand those out. Say hello, chat, see your pickups. That will be a lot of fun. So that is going to be Thursday night. Friday night, I'm going to a dinner that Ash is putting on. Last I saw on Facebook, he might have had a few spots left, but it was getting tight. It was right at the end of how many slots he had. I think it's about 150 people, but I will be at that. So I won't really be out and about so much Friday night. But Wednesday, I'll be at the show until it closes. Thursday, I'll be at the show until it closes. And then we'll go straight over to the Embassy Suites at 6:15 for the YouTube Hangout. Now, again, the best way to meet up with me. Now, if you see me on the floor, great. But don't spend a lot of time looking for me or anybody else. You will be running into people like crazy. But also, um, the easiest way to get together is going to be at the YouTube Hangout. I anticipate I will be there for at least a couple of hours hanging out. I know they're going to be having some pizza. I think they're providing some pizza, the sponsor. There is going to be a bar for purchase for drinks. So come on over, share your stories, share your pickups at the hangout again at the Embassy Suites across the street from the show. Now, also, I did not want to forget to mention Saturday night. I won't be there Saturday night because the vintage trade night got scheduled after I had already set my hotel plans, my plane flight plans. And so, had I known, I would have stayed until Sunday, but it was kind of a late scheduled thing. But the four collectors guys, the same guys that put on this awesome hobby palooza last 2 weekends ago, week and a half ago, are putting on the trade night. They put on the trade night at the Strongsville show this past April, and you are not going to want to miss that. There are going to be a lot of people hanging out at that. I know Mike Junkwax Hero will be there. All the four collectors guys will be there. People will be selling cards. What is a trade night? A trade night is basically sort of like you just pull up a chair, hang out, and you might have some cards for sale. And maybe you don't have cards for sale, but other people might have cards for sale. So you can buy some stuff. I guess you could trade, but a lot of people will be buying and selling stuff. And it is specifically for vintage cards. And my buddy Scott at Reindeer Studios will be set up there selling shirts. I don't know if he'll have midlife shirts necessarily, but those are available on his website, reindeerstudios.com. But also, he'll have all sorts of awesome gear that you will want to be wearing for the National, the rest of the weekend, and then just at your local shows too. So check those out. But that will be a blast. So you won't want to miss that, like I will be, unfortunately. So again, I'm leaving Saturday morning and won't be at this one. So what are some of my targets? Now, as you all know, one of the parts of my collection that I've been working on for a couple of years is adding some T206 Hall of Famers. I'm trying to put together a good run of at least one card of each Hall of Famer in the T206 set. So, my top targets from that set: the Cy Young portrait card, the Ty Cobb red portrait, or the Ty Cobb bat on shoulder, the Walter Johnson portrait, and the Nat Lajoie portrait. Now, there are others I might end up coming home with. I certainly wouldn't be coming home with all five of these, maybe one. My budget is not as robust as some people have. So if I could snag one of these 5, I will go for those. I'm kind of like a 1.5 to 2.5 grade type of range. Uh, Again, that doesn't mean I won't buy a 1 or a 3. It's just price wise, that's kind of the range that I fall in. What I am always looking for on cards like this of this age is something fairly well centered, pretty good registration, no major defects around the face. But I know for a card that's a 1.5 to a 2.5, it's going to have some issues. It just has to be issues that my eye can handle. So these 5 cards will be toward the top of my list. I would love to grab one of them. Now, other things on my target list. A 39 Playball Ted Williams rookie is a card I would love to add. Again, if I were to add that card, all these other cards are probably out the window because that would eat up most of the budget. A 39 Playball Joe DiMaggio would be a card. That is my, I mean, that is right there of my favorite Joe DiMaggio cards. It's fairly affordable because the population of it is higher than pretty much all of his other cards. So that would be a great card. I love the Sport King cards. You'll see a couple more in another slide or two. I have 2 or 3, 3 of the Sport King cards right now. I love adding those. Some of the ones at the top of my list, again, there are 33 Gaudy Sport Kings, would be the Babe Dietrichson, which to me is the greatest female card of all time. If you were to say what is the most important, what is the most iconic uh, vintage card of a female athlete, it would be Babe Dietrichson. She was an incredible athlete. And then the Bobby Jones is the one golf Sport King card that I'm missing. So that has been on my list for a couple of years. It's an expensive card of his, but that is on the list as well. So those 4. What else? Next slide. When you talk vintage basketball cards, there is no bigger, better vintage basketball card than the Wilt Chamberlain rookie card. Would love to get one of those. At some point, I'd also like the Bill Russell, maybe a Bob Cousy. There was a long stretch where there were no vintage basketball cards, so they are fewer and farther between. The Chamberlain is brutal to find centered. So if I found a well centered one of those in an affordable grade, that would certainly be something I'd consider. I am trying to get the first 3 Bart Starr cards. I have his second and third. So I'm looking for a well-centered Bart Starr rookie card. That's the 57 tops. The Sport Kings from football that are at the top of my list. That Jim Thorpe is a big card. Jim Thorpe doesn't have many cards. He's one of the greatest athletes of all time and has quite a story. So the Sport King Jim Thorpe is on the list. The Red Grange is on the list. That's such an iconic card with the leather helmet there. My buddy Darren picked one of those up at Strongsville. So those would be great additions to the collection. Let's see what else. Next, a 54 tops Hank Aaron rookie. I just feel like I got to have a Hank Aaron rookie. It's one of the most beautiful cards ever of one of the most important players ever. I don't have that one yet. How about a 55 tops Roberto Clemente rookie? Hard to find those centered, and so that would be a tough one to land, but I'll have my eyes out for that. On the right, so Pele. Pele has several cards. He has a handful of different rookie cards. Most people would point to a different Pele card as the premier Pele card. Most people would say that this one on the right here is probably his second or third best card. But in my eyes, it is my favorite of Pele's cards. And so I think it would be cool to being a big soccer fan and my daughter being a big soccer player. And I have several soccer cards to add my favorite Pele rookie card. So that is certainly one that I will be considering and have my eyes out for. I'm not adding everything on here. That's all I added. I could have kept going. There are a lot of other cards. The 33 Gaudy Mel Ott is a card that I love. There are several 33 Gaudy cards. The Jimmy Fox and others are cards that I would love to pick up. There's a specific Jesse Owens card that I would love to add. So I could have, you know, whenever you talk about targets, my list is a long list. I am young in my collecting journey. So there are a lot of things out there that I'm still looking to add. These are just a plethora, a variety of the ones on the menu. I really think that, and I've talked about this, is a list the way to go, or is a list not the way to go? I really think that having some semblance of a list is good because it gives you some focus. But I will also say, quite candidly, I will not buy a card just because it's on my list. So I'm really going into the show with about 25 cards, and you just saw about 15 or so that I would love to pick up. And my budget is such where I would find it hard to believe that I could get more than one of those cards that I just showed in the condition that I would want would eat up a huge chunk of the budget. So I'm gonna just kind of on Wednesday. I'm gonna be pretty focused on Wednesday when I get there, and I'm gonna put my nose to the ground and I'm gonna start hunting around for a card that when I walk by, it just grabs my attention. And it could be one of the cards that I just listed. It could not be one of the cards that I just listed. Um, but that's one of the beauties of having broad interests and broad tastes. Now, what I don't see myself doing is going completely off the radar. I don't think, again, who knows what'll happen, but I don't think I'm going to walk by a case, see a card that I had never considered owning, and drop the majority of my budget on that card. I don't think that will happen, but I'm not going to rule it out. As I've said many times, I love the T206 set. I love the kind of the sets that as a kid, when I would see vintage tables at these big shows, I would go, that is special, and knew it was special then, and fulfill some of those childhood, you know, wants. And a lot of those are T206s. A lot of those are Gaudis. And some people go, those are common. Lots of people have those. They do. T206 cards are not rare. There are lots of them out there. It's a big set. They ran it for multiple years. There are multiple backs. And so they're not particularly rare. But what is rare is finding one of those cards in the condition that I like the looks of and is in my budget. And so that's where the needle in the haystack goes. So, see, what happens is if I went to the show and I say, hey guys, the card that I really want is the Ty Cobb red portrait and Ty Cobb bat on shoulder. What would happen is a bunch of my buddies, I think they would start texting me, hey Greg, I'm at I'm at booth 1250. They've got a Cobb bat on shoulder. And that would be great. But I'm not just looking for a Cobb bat on shoulder. I'm looking for the Cobb bat on shoulder that has pretty good centering, that has good eye appeal, that doesn't have any major distractions on the card, and is affordable within my budget. That's the rare part. That's the hard part. That's where the hunt comes in. If I wanted to get a Ty Cobb T206 bat on shoulder in whatever back, and I said, that's what I want to come home with, I could come home with one. I absolutely could go into the National and come home with one. I will find multiple. There will be several of each of these cards in the room. But what it has to do is it has to check all those boxes. And the box that is hardest to check is, will I find some with good eye appeal? Absolutely. Some with good centering? Absolutely. Some without any major distractions for my eye and what I can handle? Absolutely. But to check all those boxes and check the box of being within my budget, that's the hard part. It might be a card that is absolutely properly graded. It might not, it's not going to be, I'm not going to find, for example, a Ty Cobb bat on shoulder that should have been a 6 that they gave a 1.5 to. That's not going to happen. I mean, the PSA is not going to do that. But what I might find is one with severely honest corners, heavily rounded corners, maybe some minor paper loss, possibly like on the back or over on the border or something, that brings the technical grade down to the affordability that I can go for. Yet I look at it and go, that checks the other boxes. That is where the hunt comes in. And so it's going to be interesting because, I have a lot of things I'm looking forward to for the show. I have a lot of things that I'm anticipating for the show, and cards are just part of that. So my hope is that I can get my big purchase, which I hope that I make one, and I'm not going to force it. I might not. I might come home with a bunch of money. Some people say you can't come home from the National with a bunch of money. I could. I absolutely could. I hope that in the first, I don't know, between Wednesday night and the first half of Thursday, I hope that Thursday night at the Embassy Suites, at the YouTube Hangout, I hope that I have my major purchase there. I hope that when you say, Greg, did you get the purchase? Did you find the card? I can pull one of these cards out and go, yes, this was my big purchase. I hope that it happens before the close of the show on Thursday, because then on Friday, I'll be all about hanging out. It will take some of the pressure off. But until I find the card, because let's face it, I don't have a lot of living in the West Coast in the United States, living in Sacramento. We don't have a lot of the big vintage dealers coming to shows where I live. They just don't. In fact, if there was a big premier vintage show in Northern California, like there used to be, I think that they would do really well because they never come around. So this is one of my rare opportunities to actually get to see some of the premier inventory for these cards. And I get a little nervous buying these cards through an auction house or through eBay or something, because if I'm going to spend this much money, I want to get a good look at the card. So I definitely am going to be spending time with a lot of my good friends. And a couple of my good friends aren't coming this year. So that's a major bummer, but I get it. Life is more important than sports cards and hanging out at sports card shows. But I'm absolutely anticipating spending a lot of quality time with some very quality people. And I'd like to also land a card that checks the eye appeal boxes that I have and the budget box. So we will see. Again, I'll be going to bed early. Uh, the flight takes off early. And then I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun, uh, jam packed into 2.5 days. The half day of the show on Wednesday, and then all day Thursday and all day Friday. And then I will be hopping on a plane Saturday morning. So I look forward to seeing a lot of people there. I look forward to hanging out. I look forward to seeing other people's pickups. And we will check in multiple times. I will have a couple of episodes, at least a couple of episodes, showing what's happening inside the show, any purchases that I might make. dealer tables, interactions with friends, buddies. So be sure to be checking in over the next 3 or 4 days because I will have at least 2 videos, possibly 3, and they will probably be posting at night because after the day is over, after the dinner and the hangouts are over, I will probably then go back to my room and edit everything and post it late. So stay tuned.